It began with the War of the Last Alliance, featuring the co-op play of Gil-galad, King of the Elves, and Elendil, King of the last survivors of Númenor. Their forces trained together under Elrond and Rivendell, defeated the forces of Mordor at the Black Gate, laid siege to the very walls of Barad-dûr, and challenged Sauron to an epic 2v1 battle for the very fate of Middle-earth.
Bomb has been planted.
The sword of Elendil dealt to Sauron a killing blow.
This is the way.
But as Sauron fell, he slew the two kings, who ultimately sacrificed their very lives to kill the Dark Lord and rid the world of Sauron forever.
Destined death.
But how does all of this affect Gandalf? Who was Gandalf, really? How old was he? Where was he from? Why did he even come here? What was he doing, and did he actually even make a difference? And how much of this did Sauron know? From his perspective in Mordor, what was Gandalf's true purpose? And especially, how did a simple misunderstanding on Sauron's part change everything? The gods of Middle-earth are called the Valar, and the minor gods or angels are called Maiar. The mightiest of all the Maiar spirits? Sauron, the god of order and structure, obsessed with dominating all life, eliminating free will, and transforming Middle-earth into his perfect Dulak. But after the War of the Last Alliance, the gods knew that old Helmet Head would eventually return.
I'll be back.
And without heroes such as Gil-galad and Elendil, the free peoples of Middle-earth would be powerless to challenge future Sauron. So the gods chose to send 5 Maiar spirits to Middle-earth, brothers of Sauron in a way, to organize the resistance against the Dark Lord. Like Saruman, the god of physics and deep learning, or Radagast the Brown, a defender of nature and birds and animals, and even Gandalf the Grey. Yep, Gandalf is an eternal spirit as old as the universe itself, sent to Middle-earth by the gods specifically to counter Sauron. But the Valar forbid them to confront old Spooky Face directly through power or force. You see, it was their job to teach us how to defeat evil, not to do it for us. But while the other wizards were practicing their gobstones, Gandalf was getting it done. He became the chief mover and driver of his time. Nearly every major event was organized or initiated by the Grey Pilgrim. It was Gandalf that sent a hobbit over the Misty Mountains cold, where the One Ring was found. And it was Gandalf that asked Bilbo to travel to the Lonely Mountain and kill a dragon. And who convinced the White Council to attack Dol Guldur and force Sauron away from Rivendell? Gandalf the Grey. It was Gandalf who persuaded Aragorn to partner up in the hunt for Gollum, the event that started the war. And who arranged for Frodo to leave the Shire and escape just in time? Who organized the imprisonment of Saruman in a war-torn Isengard? At Helm's Deep, it was Gandalf that charged the Uruk-hai and turned the tide. And at Minas Tirith, Gandalf led the defense of the city against the horde of Mordor. And let's not forget it was G that originally sent the Baggins boys to Mount Doom to toss the ring into the fire. What a legend! And all this time telling no one about his secret past, his true self, or where he came from. Even hid it from his best friend, a secret known only to a select few: Elrond, Círdan, Galadriel, and Sauron. Yeah, Sauron knew all about Gandalf. He intelligently deduced that G was a Maiar spirit, that he was sent by the gods, everything. But old Helmet Head made one critical mistake. You see, he had fallen so far from grace that he no longer had memory of compassion or empathy or kindness. It never occurred to him that the wizards might be sent to help others. He instead assumed the gods shared his own objective: to conquer Middle-earth. Sauron viewed the gods as ancient colonial powers desiring to re-establish their dominion over lands they had previously dominated. So in his mind, Gandalf wasn't an ambassador, he was a conquistador. And if we observe Gandalf through a lens of a would-be conqueror, G is a total loser. He has no armies, no one owes him allegiance, he has no strongholds, no towers, no captured lands, he doesn't even have Australia yet. Gandalf is a poor conqueror. Consider Radagast the Brown. He spends all his time talking to birds and beasts. Well, Gandalf also spends all his time talking to men and elves. And in Sauron's mind, that's only slightly better. Sauron viewed Gandalf as a slightly better Radagast. And what of all Gandalf's many accomplishments? Well, what accomplishments? Sauron had spies all over Middle-earth and barely saw Gandalf doing anything impactful at all. Like when Sméagol told him about the Bagginses that stole his magic ring, Gandalf never came up because he wasn't there. Or when Bilbo challenged a dragon, just so happens that Gandalf had left a few days prior. Yes, the White Council attacked Dol Guldur, but it was Saruman that did the fighting. And the hunt for Gollum? Gandalf abandoned the quest. Aragorn did the capturing on his own. Or when Frodo escaped the Shire, Gandalf was nowhere to be found. Aragorn saved them at Weathertop. When Isengard was destroyed, no Gandalf. It was Aragorn seen walking in the Fangorn forest just days before the Ents decided to attack. Helm's Deep? G missed 99% of the battle. Minas Tirith. Once the sun rose and Theoden King attacked and Merry went all stabby-stabby on the Witch King, Gandalf wasn't on the battlefield. It was Aragorn that won the day. Even when the Baggins boys gave the ring a lava bath, no Gandalf. It's a curious but true fact that while Gandalf was the chief designer and motivator of the great events of his time, when the actual events occurred, Gandalf was almost never present. You see, it was his job to teach us how to defeat evil, not to do it for us. And so Sauron viewed Gandalf as a total loser, and paid him relatively little attention. He instead obsessed over Aragorn, and Gandalf knew it. You see, while Aragorn was being hunted and pursued, Gandalf could organize and plan and encourage. And while Aragorn was blocking swords and dodging arrows, G had relative freedom to work his magic, ultimately allowing Gandalf to organize the resistance against Sauron and save all of Middle-earth. Wow, really threw Aragorn under the bus there, G.